What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. So in this video, I want to talk about Tory Lanez releasing an album about the situation between him and Megan Thee Stallion, aka the alleged shooting um, of Megan Thee Stallion by Tory Lanez. So yeah, it seems like this is people's taking this as Tory Lanez's official statement, right? This isn't really an official statement. This is not really an official statement, all right? This is someone's art, quote unquote. I'll put that in quotes, definitely. Someone using their art to express some ideas. And also I'm hearing people like, oh, Tory can't talk about that. Oh, he can't talk about that. That's an open case. Oh, no. His lawyer's probably telling him he can't talk about that. His legal team and stuff like that. I'm like, well, he can make an album about it, though, right? Because folks taking this album as being like gospel, you know. And for all we know, Tory Lanez could be lying. But on the flip side, he could be telling 100% the truth. I don't think that's the case. But, to be fair, we weren't there. To be fair, we were not there. But, we do have some, things and some evidence and some reports and things like that to go on. Like, for one, the police report with him being in possession of a firearm illegally because he is not a U.S. citizen, so he is not eligible and allowed to be in possession of a firearm, right? Also, we have a gunshot wound. Megan Thee Stallion, her medical records, right? As well as her showing her wounded foot on social media because a lot of people just weren't believing her for one reason or another. That's a whole nother video. We also have that footage, that helicopter footage, courtesy of TMZ, of Megan Thee Stallion walking and like having a limp walk, right? Showing that she was visibly injured, as well as seeing blood around her foot, like when she was walking the footsteps, So, there is, some records and some things out there to help corroborate this situation, right? I know a lot of people had just been denying that Megan got shot at all, of course, for one reason or another. But what I really want to talk about more so is this current situation at the moment that involves, Tory Lanez releasing an album, monetizing this situation and making a buck off of it, right? And I have not listened to the album. I don't really plan to listen to the album. I suggest that you not do the same. But if you're extremely curious, then I would strongly suggest that you listen to the album in a way that does not monetarily benefit Tory Lanez. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Right? Because I can understand some people wanting to hear what Tory Lanez has to say. I just don't think he needs to be profiting off of it. But yeah, so Tory Lanez has not released an official statement, still as of yet, one way or another. But he has time to possibly leak text messages, or at least a text message, and also make an album about the situation, right? Because this situation happened like around maybe early July. It's been a minute. It's been a minute now. So I guess during all that time, he was in the studio, cooking up this album. And also, note, still please note this, that many people still have not pressed Tory Lanez for a statement at all. Like they pressed Megan Thee Stallion for her statement and proof of injuries, right? What's next? They want to see her medical records? You know? Like y'all done seen this woman limping on video, limping, seeing blood under her foot, you know. She showed you the injury of her foot too. Like, you want to see the bullet fragments as well? Right? And, also it's like, what does Megan Thee Stallion really have to gain from all of this? The only thing I would say is like, this is just like hypothetically or whatever. Perhaps, Megan Thee Stallion is just extremely crazy. She never struck me as the type that was just extremely crazy and would shoot herself in the foot to blame Tory Lanez. And again, for what? Other than she would have to have some sort of a mental issue of some kind. I don't think that's the case, though. I really just don't think that's the case. But again, what does Megan Thee Stallion really have to gain from doing all this? Really, she seems to be taking more hits and L's than, wins and W's and whatnot. So, what is all this for? Exactly. If she were just making all of this up, like, what is she trying to get? Like, oh, she just trying to bring a brother down. Megan Thee Stallion, hey, black man, right? Even though, as far as I know, Megan Thee Stallion has only dated and dealt with black men, whether they're problematic or not. But, and also the thing is, like, again, this situation happened a minute ago, a while ago, and again, everyone's not me, of course, and everyone does things differently, of course, but I would think, like, if someone was accusing you of something that you didn't do, especially something as serious as violence, even more especially violence against a woman as a man, then, like, for me personally, I'm going to speak out and set the record straight. And I'm going to go out there and advocate for myself. I'm going to say something, right? Yeah, it may be some legal issues involved, but I would say something to show that, no, this is not true. I do not to, automatically squash the rumor mill from the beginning. So for me, I'm thinking, Tory Lanez didn't speak out, more so because what could he say? And also, it would perpetuate the situation, right? Yeah, he's perpetuating the situation now with this album, because he's using it for monetary gain. And it's weird, too. It's like, well, things have sort of low-key kind of calmed down, but then you just, added gasoline to the fire that's trying to simmer down and then ignite it again, right? But the thing is, the way that this, I hate to say it, but the way that this community is set up, Tory Lanez doesn't really have to take accountability for this. Seemingly, at least, at the moment. At least there is just some hardcore 100% proof evidence that he did it, like straight up video footage of it or something. But no, it doesn't seem like Tory Lanez really has to take any accountability. This is why he can get away with doing this. Because so far he doesn't really have to take accountability for anything. He doesn't even have to really speak out about it at all. No one's, some people have pressed him, but not enough, right? Not enough. And also, what makes Tory Lanez a more trustworthy person in this situation versus Megan? Again, I've asked that before. Like, in comparison, comparing Tory Lanez to Megan Thee Stallion, what makes Tory Lanez more trustworthy than Megan Thee Stallion, at least very much in this situation. You know, I don't think Megan Thee Stallion has a history of lying on anyone, whether man, woman, black man, black woman, whatever. I don't think so. And, you know, some people can argue, well, maybe, you know, well, actually, Tory Lanez does have a history of lying, low key. Y'all remember that colorism situation that happened when he was like, you know, switching out the light skin model for the dark skin model, but then to come to find out it was all staged. So low key, Tory Lanez does have a history of lying. Perhaps the lie wasn't extremely serious like this situation, but nevertheless, he did lie in an attempt to pander, you know, in an attempt to get, you know, black women's support so he can get black women's money. And black women were, some, not all, but some, were just eating it up like it was just Sunday dinner. Like just sopping it up with a big old butter biscuit, just happy that they were, you know, shown, or someone reflective of them were shown by Tory Lanez, and he's the best black king ever. Sheesh. I tell you, the black women getting full off of crumbs continues. The saga continues. All right. You know, but maybe perhaps Megan Thee Stallion has a history of lying, and I just don't know. If so, let me know in the comment section. All right. But yeah, of course, we already know Megan Thee Stallion has alleged that Tory Lanez shot her. You know, I'm hoping that that firearms possession charge sticks, so that Tory Lanez can be banned from, you know, entering the United States. But if that happens, be prepared. Megan Thee Stallion better be prepared for the backlash that she's going to get. They're going to, you know, they as in black people, you know, black men and some black women are going to come down on Megan Thee Stallion. They're going to go after her, you know, and they're going to be accusing her of bringing a brother down and getting a brother caught up in the legal system, this, that, and the third, right? Even though Tory Lanez is a grown man that needs to take accountability for his actions, you know, and take accountability for possibly what he did, allegedly. I don't know if Megan Thee Stallion has officially pressed charges. I strongly encourage her to do so, and hopefully Tory Lanez is charged and convicted to the fullest extent of the law. But I do want to give a shout out to Keke Palmer. I saw that Keke Palmer posted a video in support of Megan Thee Stallion, and that was nice to see. You know, sisters supporting sisters, right? So I'll show you a clip of the video. It's not really long. So I'll show you a clip right quick.
Like, I don't want to talk about it or put myself into nothing, but I just want to support Megan. I think that's ultimately what I'm saying, is I want to support Megan. Because imagine if somebody shot you and then made an album gaslighting you that the world thought sonically sounded good. Imagine how taunting and humiliating that would feel for you. Just imagine how that could feel for you, because we all have stuff that happens in our personal lives that no one knows about. But imagine if something that upsetting was done to you and then put into an album, and you had to see people online talking about if it was good or if it wasn't, and constantly bring it up, reminding you what happened again and again and again and again.
All right, so you saw the clip, right? Wasn't that nice? Y'all remember how people came at Keke Palmer when she exposed Trey Songz for trying to put her in a music video against her wishes, right? Y'all remember that incident that happened? It was a while ago, but folks came at Keke. Both black men and black women came at Keke in defense of Trey Songz, right? Although, look at the situation Now, the more allegations that have been piling up against Trey Songz, right? You know, for one reason or another, people didn't want to believe that Kiki was, telling the truth. It must have been like something that she did. She must be lying. It must have been something like she must be to blame one way or another. But I also want to show you a video clip, more so an audio clip actually. I want to let you guys listen to this audio clip of a black woman who called into Hot 97 to speak about this situation that, Tory Lanez releasing the album, and of course just the Megan Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez incident in general. All right, so take a listen.
Let's go to Carol on 5. Exactly. Now you monetizing it.
Hello?
Carol, what do you have to say? I'm bugging?
I think, you're not bugging about him dropping the album. That was really lame. But I think we're jumping to the gun of, Tory shot Megan. I personally, I wasn't there. We weren't there. But I just don't believe she was shot in the foot. I just don't believe it. And
Why
I feel
not?
like,
Why not? I'm just curious. Why don't you believe it?
because if I was shot in the foot, I'm telling. If you're in the car with me and we sitting next to each other, you got a gun and you just shot me, I'm not keeping my mouth shut about that. I'm not afraid of no cops. If somebody shot me, this boy shot me, is going to be a problem. So I just don't believe.
So you think what about her injuries though that she clearly had to show because people didn't? But what are you talking about?
Injuries?
She showed her injuries. She showed her wounds on social media.
You showing your injuries, but 5 minutes later you posted up in your bikini talking about how life.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. She still showed her injuries.
It does matter because at the same time, if you're so concerned about or you're so wounded by this shot, the first thing you're not going to do is just, somebody tried to hurt me. One thing about Megan, she's always, what I've known of her.
Oh, here we go.
She's a victim.
What are you talking about?
You're pro Tory. Are you a Tory fan?
Wow.
I'm not a Tory fan. I'm not a fan of neither one.
Are you a laniac?
Yo, this sounds so nuts to me. Megan isn't allowed to move on. And now you want to dismiss her wounds because she wears a bikini?
The same way we want to protect black women, we need to protect black men too. I'm a mom of 3 little boys, and if, women, I'm a woman. If we don't get our way, you did something terrible to me. And that's just on period.
Well,
wow.
I'll tell you like this, Carol, because you have 3 little boys, please make them accountable for their behavior.
Absolutely.
Hold them
Absolutely.
accountable.
It was corny for him to make a record. He should have been talked about it. He should have been had something to say about it. But if this is the way he chooses to display that he is innocent of whatever,
then that's whack. That's whack that you want to make money off a woman's injury.
Right.
That's whack.
Right.
Let's go to
unbelievable.
All right, so you guys listened to what she had to say, and hoo-wee. To my black women out there, to my sisters, I'm sorry that you have this woman on your team. I really am. And also notice something. Right, notice something in that clip. She brought up we need to protect black men like we protect black women. Well, I'm like, well, okay, wait a minute. Well, I think black men tend to get more protection than black women, and to be honest, and more advocacy. That's one. Also, she brought up her having 3 sons, and sort of relating this to the Tory Lanez incident. So, okay, she's seeing Tory Lanez as being one of her 3 sons, or could possibly be one of her 3 sons. And, then she brought up women, when they don't get their way, they, I forgot what she said exactly, but, basically they get crazy, right? Even though we don't know what exactly happened. It's funny because some people are saying we don't know, but then they're speculating. And, fine, but, I understand that to an extent if we're going to have a conversation about this and don't know every single detail, there's probably going to be some speculation at one point or another. But I do find it a bit funny that in one breath some people are saying, well, we don't know all the facts. Well, and then, in the next breath talking about something implicating Megan Thee Stallion as being basically deserving of, what she experienced. Notice that. It's like that's been happening for a while, but it's like somehow, some way, Megan Thee Stallion seemingly is deserving one way or another. It has to be something that she did. Something. Maybe she sneezed without covering her mouth. Sorry, I don't mean to make light of the situation, but if that happened, then like, no, she deserved to get shot. We in the coronavirus age right now. We in a pandemic. She should have covered her mouth. And granted, that is gross, but I don't think that's deserving of being shot. But yeah, but really though, it is like, for seemingly for one reason or another, people, even black women, other black women don't want to believe black women when, like, they speak out against, some sort of trauma that they've experienced, or speak out against predatory people, like, for some reason. And it's just, I think it just perhaps goes back to people seemingly just assuming that a black woman is, like, perhaps aggressive, and because of that, low-key being deserving of whatever treatment or, whatever happened to her. Yeah. And also, a lot of people, when this situation, when black women are experiencing their, trauma, and people seemingly not caring, or just not caring. A lot of people, especially lately, have been, quoting, the famous and perhaps infamous Malcolm X quote about, black women being the most disrespected woman in America, and I guess perhaps the world, according to LeBron James. And I will show you a clip of what I said in my last video about this. One of the things he said is that, quote unquote, the most disrespected person on the earth, or on earth, is the black woman. And I'm getting a little tired of hearing this phrase. And don't get it twisted, don't misunderstand me. It's not that I don't think it's true, because I do, ultimately. But the thing is, I just hear this phrase thrown around so much, and it's like, okay, we have established that, not being shady, but that has been established. Now it's like, hell, like, that was established back when Malcolm X said it, when he did it, right? And that was like in the 60s. We're in 2020. What we gonna do? Like, what's the next step? Okay, we've established this. Like, y'all years, decades behind. So what is the next step? But yeah, I think at this point, I don't think we're going to really be doing anything about this. Because on one hand, we are preaching about Black Lives Matter. And which, okay, yes, I can agree with that, definitely. On the other hand, when we have to hold other black people accountable for black lives, especially black men being the guilty party, then all of a sudden, folks get real quiet about it, and folks start victim blaming and finding any reason to just derail the whole conversation and avoid holding black men accountable, you know, and this is as a community, both black men and black women participate in this. But nevertheless, that's pretty much all that I have to say at the moment. Again, as I mentioned earlier in this video, like Megan Thee Stallion, if you have not officially filed, please file so that you can press charges against Tory Lanez. You know, forget what everyone has to say. I know this probably isn't the easiest thing to do because of the backlash that you're probably going to receive for pressing charges, but at this point, who got your back anyway? These people have shown that they ain't here for you one way or another. Again, not everybody, but more than enough, especially Tory Lanez has pretty much, you know, just shown you, you know, his true demonic self. So at this point, it's like, you know, I'm not sure if you have much to lose at this point. I guess perhaps you could end up getting blackballed from the industry because of this, you know. And I know that, you know, her career is important to her. She's worked hard to get to where she's at. And, you know, she's kind of like just starting in the game too. I can understand her not wanting to get blackballed from the industry. But personally, I do think that you should press charges. And also, has Tory Lanez paid for your medical bills? Probably not. That probably would be an admission of guilt, for one. And for also, he probably just doesn't care to. You know? Yeah, he'll say some things on the album, because you know how folks like to exaggerate in their music. Let's be real. You know, folks like to exaggerate. You know, because they make a good song. Alright. But what do you guys think about all this? Please let me know in the comments section. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.